Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Night of Champions 2015 preview and predictions.
Yo, what's going on, guys? John, aka Vocal Aggression, here alongside my cohort and commentary Ashton for Night of Champions 2015 preview and predictions. And I gotta tell ya, the card match-wise, I'd say it's a pretty middle of the road show from where I'm sitting. But in terms of intrigue and potential fallout, that's where I think my interest really lies with the show. If we're talking about how interested I am in the fallout of these matches, I'd give it about a 9. In terms of the actual show itself and consuming the match card, I'd say we're about a 6, maybe a low 7. What would you say, Ashton?
I'm going to be completely upfront with you, John. There are 8 matches announced for this card, including the pre-show match. Of the 8 matches on this card, I have a genuine interest in one and a little interest in 2 others, and that's it.
Wow, okay. Okay. Well, hey, man, you're honest. I understand that. I mean, it's not like the Raws. You and I have been saying almost every week how glad we are that we've taken this Raw hiatus, for the remainder of the year.
Yep.
Because the Raws certainly haven't been of quality. If we were to go into the show thinking, well, how good is this show going to be based on the Raws that built it up, I would be anticipating a shit show.
Yeah.
And truth be told, we may still get a shit show.
Right.
It's not to say that we won't. But I just think, especially with Seth Rollins competing twice, those 2 matches, when I speak about the intrigue in terms of fallout, those 2 matches, and honestly, Dean and Roman and the mystery partner, are the matches where my intrigue, I think, are at their highest, their strongest point. Everything else I'm pretty meh about, which is a shame because you've got talented guys on this card. But it's just, again, the presentation consistently from WWE just leaves you feeling meh, which, again, is really a crying shame. But do you have anything else you want to say, or do you want to get right into this card?
No, I want to get right into this card, and I actually think that because we haven't been reviewing Raws, I think that we can take a few extra minutes before we talk about each individual match to talk about the build-up to it.
Okay.
So let's just start things off with what the WWE is deeming the least important match on the show, the pre-show match, Neville and the Lucha Dragons versus the Cosmic Wasteland.
I like the Cosmic Wasteland. I like how they came together, coming to Stardust Aid, laying out Neville and all that stuff. I know people have tired of the Stardust gimmick. Me, at this point, I can take it or leave it. I don't loathe it or find it offensive by any means, like, oh, get off my TV. And I'll always credit Cody Rhodes for being so into his gimmicks. So I think that's the only thing really keeping me in. I like that this gives Lucha Dragons something to do, and I guess it gives Neville something to do as well, even though, to be honest, I think he's kind of beyond this, and I hope he moves on from this soon. In fact, I have some ideas for him, which we'll get to later on in the card. But yeah, as far as this goes, I would actually give Stardust and the Cosmic Wasteland the win. I feel like Stardust could really use the win after the whole SummerSlam debacle, losing to Neville and Stephen Amell. Give the Cosmic Wasteland some legitimacy, and then maybe you can either do a return match or a Neville and Stardust one-on-one match where Neville gets his comeuppance. So I'm picking Cosmic Wasteland. The build really hasn't been that bad. Again, I enjoy the opposition in Cosmic Wasteland, whereas the other team's kind of thrown together. Should be a fun match, but here's to hoping the heels get the win.
Yeah, I actually do agree with you. I do think that the heels are going to win. The build to this has been terrible, though. The Ascension, I mean, they joined Stardust on a random episode of SmackDown, so nobody knew about it. And then the following week, they lost a tag team match. I don't remember even who it was against, but I know that they were in a tag team match the following Monday, and they lost.
I can tell you who it was. It was Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They were fodder for their build-up, for their matchup with the Wise and Night Champions, which of course we'll get to later.
Right. And I don't have
a
problem. I don't have a problem with Ambrose and Reigns winning a tag team match against a random tag team, but of all the tag teams, why would you choose the one that you're actually trying to build up for once, rather than, I mean, I honestly would have preferred the frickin' Matadors, since they sort of assaulted El Torito and they can play that heel role now.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Not to mention, Ashton, it's not even just the idea that Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose won that match. They dominated that match.
Right.
There was no sign of Stardust.
The Ascension basically went from, now we have something to do, we're with Stardust too, oh, but we still suck.
Exactly. And it's really a shame because if you were to take the Ascension that you and I grew to love on NXT and put them with Stardust, I would be so stoked for this. But really, to me, And if I'm being honest, like you said, you were being honest about the overall card earlier. If I'm being honest about this match, I have such an indifference towards it, which I hate myself for, because every member in this match is talented in their own way.
Yeah.
Like, they are great performers.
Well, I
But it's like
mean, Connor,
Connor with as a
5 out of 6 isn't bad.
5 out of 6 isn't bad. And really, when I speak of the Ascension, I speak more of as like a tag team act. If we were going singles, obviously I think Victor's the superior one. But, in what they're doing and what their role is, these guys are talented, sure, but they're just so directionless. And this just seemed like, okay, give them something to do. And that's the only reason I'm happy, because it gives them something to do. I still don't know how you could have botched the Lucha Dragons when they could have been merch movers like nobody's business. The Ascension could have been a top heel tag team running roughshod over everybody, but then again, the top heel tag team that we have is glorious anyway, and we'll get to them later. Neville, again, I would have had different plans for him at this point. And Stardust, I don't even know. He probably would have been Cody Rhodes again under my jurisdiction, but he's not, so it's whatever. Heels get the win, and we move on.
Right, and just to kind of cap things off as far as the build-up goes, this past week on Raw, it looked like we were going to have this match already, and it just ended up being a really quick brawl that the babyfaces dominated, and then the heels ran away.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that the babyfaces dominated on the go-home show makes even more sense that we'd be picking the heels. So there you go.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
All right, so now up next, let's talk about the next least relevant or meaningful match. Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev. This entire feud is carcinogenic. It will give you cancer.
It's so true. And again, this is another case, much like the pre-show, where it is so infuriating because I like both guys, especially Rusev, if you guys have been listening to our recent commentaries where we're able to talk about this stuff. I think Rusev is so above this, and Dolph, honestly, I'd love to see him have a heel turn again. That said, you look at the whole back and forth. Lana's now injured, which was really inconvenient because you feel like, this was probably going to be an intergender tag team match, Ashton.
Yeah, that's why I think that this entire thing is just a disaster because, first of all, the feud itself is terrible. Ziggler and Lana have no chemistry. I feel like Summer Rae and Rusev are both just. I like it's. What it really comes down to is I actually really like all 4 performers involved in this, but none of it doesn't make sense for any of them to be associated with who they are.
And I completely agree with that assessment of the storyline.
I love Lana and Ziggler, but they don't make sense as a couple. I love Ziggler and Rusev, but they are not the best opponents for each other. I love Rusev and Summer Rae, and I will even go a step further and say that I've actually enjoyed their pairing a little bit, but I do feel like both of them have so much better that they could be doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And here's where it gets even more confounded, at least to me. I mean, you look at the most recent build where Dolph gives Summer Rae the earrings, and you've known all throughout this storyline that Rusev wants to make Lana jealous. Every time he sees, her and Ziggler kissing, he goes in a rage, and then Summer tries to stir the pot. Now, I always like to bring up reports that I read, even though I always preface it by saying I take it with a grain of salt. I'm hearing stuff that Lana and Rusev may be put back together. But honestly, now, this thing has just been such a colossal waste of time. I would almost be angry at that result. So wait, you took me on this trip just to complete the circle when we really didn't even need to mess with it to begin with. And I'm assuming that
Ziggler honestly, John, I feel like this is obviously hindsight booking, and hindsight booking is always easier to do than just booking. But I still want to throw this out there. Given what we've gotten so far, given what we are probably going to get in the future, I feel like the best bet would have been to just keep Rusev and Lana together, pair up Ziggler with Summer, and have that be the feud heading into SummerSlam.
Yeah, I agree. Because here's the thing, and this is where my formal prediction comes in. This was actually one of the harder matches to call because of the damn earring segment. Because I'm thinking, well, is Summer going to turn on Rusev and Ziggler and Summer hook up, which allows like an enraged Lana when she was, bedridden, recovering
based
from
on WWE right now, I feel like Ziggler gave that to her, and she's going to attack Rusev and try and be with Ziggler, and Ziggler's going to reject her.
Yeah, and that might happen.
And be like, haha, I did that to you to prove to you all these other points about how Rusev is a scumbag and you're with the guy for the wrong reason, but I'm not actually interested in you.
Yeah, and see, that's my conflict, because either they're really going to pull the trigger, put Ziggler and Summer Rae as like this heel tandem, which
And
I
that's even,
honestly,
I've been saying for the longest time, I think that the best result of this entire feud is for Ziggler and Summer to end up as a heel couple. Rusev and Lana go their own separate ways. But if Rusev and Lana end up back together, it feels like we've been treading water for the last however many, like 4 or 5 months.
dude, it's nothing even against Lana and Rusev. I'm telling you, if they go that route, I am going to be so insulted as a viewer, because
Well,
why did
it's
you tell
nothing
me this
personal
story?
against the performers, obviously,
Right,
because they are, I
right.
mean, they're a real life couple, but the fact that the Lana character told the Rusev character that she was no longer going to be his victim. Are you kidding me? Why would you ever want her to end up back with him?
Yeah, that's a great point too. Like, think about the message you're sending if you do this.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's an excellent point, dude. Because it's like, wow, way to really spit in the face of, domestic violence and, relationship abuse and all those things.
Yeah.
Which WWE may not recognize that they're doing that, but you're totally doing it when you
Dude,
have a woman.
they
Yeah,
tried to name a tag team the Submission Sorority. They're oblivious.
they really are, dude.
Have you
So
heard the reports? Like, Paige came right out and said, like, when they went to her with that name, she told them, you don't want kids Googling that. And they said that they would get to Vince and get back to her with what he says. And they never did. And next thing you know, they're getting called the Submission Sorority on Raw, and they had to change it afterwards because of the actual porn website.
Yeah, I read that report this morning actually,
Yeah.
and I just had to chuckle to myself, because typical WWE to me. That
Yeah.
doesn't even really faze me.
Right. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't, but it should. It really is. It's a massive oversight.
yeah, exactly. But and that's really the tragedy of this company, is that I expect them to commit these massive oversights anymore. And really, I'm left with the conundrum: is it a long con from Ziggler, or was it a sincere gesture? I'm tentatively going to say that it was a long con, and that Ziggler is going to get the win after, causing friction between Rusev and Summer Rae that he's going to capitalize on at some point in the match. So Ziggler for the win. But again, I say this tentatively because I'm really hoping those reports aren't true for a variety of reasons.
Yep.
So what's your formal prediction, man?
I agree. I think Ziggler's going to have to win this, if for no other reason, just because I feel like Rusev has gotten the best of him most of the time leading up to this.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Yeah, certainly.
And that's not even talking about like, oh, Ziggler got to super kick Rusev. I'm talking about SummerSlam. Oh no, you know what? Ziggler beat Rusev. Oh no, that was a double count out. That's right.
Yeah. And then they had a return match on Raw, which Ziggler won by DQ because he hit the zigzag, but the pin was broken up, I think, by Summer.
Right.
Yes,
So they've
by
just been
Summer.
basically teasing Ziggler winning this whole time. He's going to get his win.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go.
Tomorrow night, I guess I should say. But yeah, that's probably going to happen. All right, dude. We have a really. It's hard to. Okay, it's Night of Champions. We have 5 different championship matches tonight. But before we get to those, we have one other match that's not a championship match that, if it was up to me, would be like the second or third last match that we talk about. But because it's not a championship match, let's just talk about it now. The Wyatt family versus Ambrose, Reigns, and their mystery partner. And this was the one match on this entire card that I have genuine interest in, because I am so curious to see who this partner ends up being.
Oh, yeah, you and me both. You and I have conversed about it and really speculated about it heavily. Crazy thing is, Ashton, and this may be where our first big debacle comes in, I don't think that Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose having a mystery partner necessarily guarantees them the victory.
No,
And that's
believe it or not, dude, I actually picked the Wyatt family to win this.
Oh my God, I thought you and I were going to be in disagreement, because I'm not formally picking the Wyatts yet. Even now, I'm still kind of on the fence. But dude, this is Braun Strowman's like first big pay-per-view event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I could see it being anyone from Kane to Samoa Joe to Baron Corbin to Eric Rowan to you name it. And there's probably a good chance that I've seen somebody suggest that might be him. But to me, it doesn't matter, because this match isn't so much about the TBA as it is about the Braun Strowman.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. I've enjoyed the build to this, honestly, which is actually a big compliment because you know the rumors that you and I keep reporting on with this feud that it's supposed to go on for a full year. It's still going on
Well, I mean,
now.
that was back in like June when it first started.
Exactly. So I mean, if by this point those rumors haven't been confirmed, I don't know what to tell people because it's September now. I mean, Night of Champions is going to be September 20th. So I mean, there you go. But I've enjoyed it. I think this whole mystery partner and Braun Strowman, like these two elements have injected some much needed life into this. And really, I have to give a lot of credit both to Braun Strowman as a performer and whoever is, booking him and really had the sense to be like, let's make him that, old school monster character that sells very little and just dominates because man, is he been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Watching Braun Strowman come in and just choke the life out of people and just leave them there like limp and just down on the canvas and then just, telling people to run. And he's got great facial expressions, really knows how to emote. And I love that he's the black sheep of the Wyatt family. I hope that whoever this mystery partner is, I mean, yeah, maybe they do pretty well against Braun Strowman, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I want to see Braun Strowman really negate that threat. And plus, I think the Wyatt family could really use a win like this after their loss at SummerSlam. So I do think I'm picking the Wyatts. And man, it just feels so good to be into them again. And I really have to thank one man for it, and it's Braun Strowman. But as far as the mystery partner, my formal prediction is going to be that the mystery partner is Samoa Joe. So I'm going to say Samoa Joe is the mystery partner for Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose.
Nice. I like that. Are we going to kind of count that as like an official like prediction whether you get it right or wrong? Because that just feels like you're trying to, you're kind of trying to find a needle in a haystack there with just all the names that it could possibly be.
Well, you can count it as a formal prediction from me. I mean, it's
Okay.
probably gonna be a bonus question on Pletov, and admittedly, I may change my answer there after
Yeah.
more thought. But yeah, here you can lock it in. Yeah, I think Samoa Joe. I think he's really not doing too much at the moment. He's in a place on NXT where I don't think people would expect much if he does this appearance at Night of Champions. He can either go back to NXT and resume what he was doing, or maybe he could do more and kind of pull a Kevin Owens. But either way, I think Joe's definitely going to be the guy, and I think the pop will be huge for the record. I think it'll be received very well. So, yeah, Joe's my prediction.
So I have just the dumbest feeling that it's going to end up being a returning Jey Uso.
Oh, that would be so disappointing.
He's been out for so long. They took Jimmy out. It would make sense that he would want revenge.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
dude,
terrible. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's awful. I would never. If it was up to me, it would be Baron Corbin. Or, I mean, Joe would be great too. I just want to see Baron Corbin on the main roster. But it's the WWE, man. And pretty much without failure, they will always opt for the least exciting option possible. And Jey Uso is that.
Yeah. Oh god, dude. Look, apologies everybody, but I'm already kind of like fast forwarding to live reactions and just seeing Ashton's reaction just take a dip when the Usos theme music hits. And it's Jey Uso. And mine too, for the record. Like both of our reactions I think will just die.
Do you remember
Right there.
I think it might have been last year, John. We didn't record our live reactions, but we probably should have. We started and almost finished watching a TNA pay-per-view, and the entire time we were just laughing at how bad it was.
Yeah, man.
I'm starting to feel like that's going to be what Night of Champions live reactions is going to be.
Oh man, I hope not. Like in a way,
Because
it would
if
be a
it
lot
is
of
Jey
fun.
Uso, I am going to lose it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Like that's terrifying. I'm not gonna pull the same stunt that I did with All-Star Extravaganza and like concede to your salient points, but I mean it does have merit. I mean Jimmy got taken out. Jey Uso should be healed by now. If he's not, that's actually a little bit disturbing because I don't remember the injury being that serious and that dire. And yeah, it could be a whole retribution story. Plus, Roman Reigns did say, you took out my family. I'm gonna get you for that. So how best to take care of a family issue? You bring in more family. So I don't know, man. I'm still sticking by Joe. because I think they really want that strong reaction, and I think they want Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose to look as babyface as possible, which is why I'm tentative about Corbin, because I don't know how casuals would respond to him and how many NXT people would be in the crowd. I think if you really want to maximize the pop, you go Joe, but man, I hope you're wrong. That sounds horrifying.
I don't know, man.
So are you
I've
picking
also heard a rumor that it might be The Rock. I doubt it, but hey.
Yeah, I should probably address that too.
Dude,
Yeah.
they've whipped out The Rock to try and shill Roman Reigns before. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it again.
Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me here either. Like,
that would definitely tip the scales. I mean, if it was The Rock, I would definitely pick that team to win.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, certainly. Rock wouldn't come back, I think, to do like a job unless it was part of a larger program that he himself was a part of.
Yeah, I doubt that'll happen.
Exactly.
It's not about The Rock, it's about Reigns at this point.
Right. Yeah, I'm still picking the Wyatt family to win. And as far as the Rock rumors go, I mean, they have merit too.
Maybe it'll be Rikishi.
That would be hilarious.
Roman's Uncle Quiche.
Braun Strowman's in position for a sting face, and right before that ass makes contact, he says run, and then he just eats it. Oh, man.
Somebody shoving their ass in someone's face.
Oh, God. That would be... Oh, my God. I don't even know how I would react. If it was, I'd probably laugh from bell to bell. It would probably just me in gut-busting laughter, but we'll see. But, yeah, I'm picking the Wyatt family to win. Are you? What's your formal prediction here?
My official prediction is Savio Vega.
Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. I heard he returned Dean Ambrose's call, so, it's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be either him or Great Khali. They said that.
Yeah, exactly. And Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, yeah.
I believe everything I hear in WWE.com interviews, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how can you not? Like, do you really think that Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose would lie? I don't think so.
I will say, though, this is easily, I mean, of the 8 matches on this card, this is hands down the best built one.
Oh, yeah. I've really enjoyed the build.
I think it comes down to this and the other tag team match on this show.
Yeah. How funny is that, huh?
Tag title match that we can talk about next. But yeah, my official prediction, just because I don't think that the Rock is going to end up being in a match after the WrestleMania match that he tore his whatever in, he tore a muscle in, I don't remember what it was. I'm going to pick the Wyatt family.
Okay.
All right, so now, I mean, heck, it's natural. We might as well talk about it. The New Day versus the Dudley Boys for the titles. I think the Dudley Boys are winning this.
I think they are too, but by disqualification. So New Day keeps the championships.
Oh, okay. I like that. I honestly, to me, this is always kind of my mindset, and I'm never right, so I'm glad that you are at least being sensible about it. Anytime they bring back one of these legendary, I'm going to say it, any one of these legendary, I'm not even going to say teams, just entities, whether it's a team or an individual, and they end up getting put into a title picture, I always want them to win the title at their first chance. Because then it's like it gets it out of the way. That means that they'll lose the title back to a more fresh, younger team sooner, and we can just get this whole thing behind us. And as much as I loved the Dudley Boys in the early to mid-2000s, it's 2015, and I'm sure this nostalgia act is making a lot of people happy, but it's not necessarily something that gets me excited.
Right.
So to me, put the titles on them, let them hold them for a few months, and then get the titles back on an actual contemporary team that actually is going to be able to, stick around for more than a few months.
Kudos to New Day for once again raising the bar about making a program work, and it's almost like they're teasing everybody else now because they've been able to make this work over furniture. They're just, give tables a chance.
Save the tables.
Save a table, break
Dude,
a Dudley.
I'm not even joking you. Big E started a petition at change.org.
That's amazing. And see, that's what I'm talking about. When a gimmick is so smart that they realize, wait a minute, it's 2015. We live in the 21st century. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, and they maximize the potential of the internet. I love stuff like that. That's why for as much as I hate Zack Ryder, I always gave him credit for his organic push, that whole grassroots movement getting him to the United States Championship. Because that's just smart to me in the time that we live in. I've said it before, I'll say it again. New Day is one of the best acts going. It's the kind of act that the more I see them, because I know I used to say it to you in passing. I used to say, well, Ashton, I really hope New Day goes so well that at least one of these guys gets to main event status. Now I'm really starting to believe that whenever this group has run its course, Big E can hopefully get that main event spot, because that man is magnificent. And Xavier Woods, good God, give that man anything. Like, I even saw one YouTube comment on a video where it's just him playing the trombone, and they said, gamer, PhD holder, trombone player, is there anything this man can't do? And then the immediate reply was suck. And they're right. He can't suck. This guy can't do any wrong, and Kofi's doing the best work of his career. So I love all three of these guys. Why I say Dudleys are going to win by DQ, the story really outside of course, saving tables, which is a very important cause, and I will sign that petition as soon as we get done here, is the Dudleys getting their 10th WWE Tag Team title. Whenever it's a big, even number like that, I think they like to tease it a little bit. They're not going to satisfy their quest just yet. I could even see them getting it done at Hell in a Cell next month, or maybe even a random episode of Monday Night Raw. God knows they could use the ratings pop, but it's not going to happen here. And so, yeah, I think Dudleys will win, and they'll remain contenders, but New Day will keep the gold. I'm thinking a DQ finish here.
I dig that. I'm just going to predict straight out the Dudleys are going to win the title. So we agree on the winner. We just disagree on the title change that I think is going to happen, and you don't.
Exactly. In fact, I'll even go one step further, and I say this tentatively. I won't make this as much of a lock, but I bet you they'll probably get DQ'd using a table, just to kind of appreciate the irony. Maybe they'll get caught up in it, and they'll use a table, and then, it'll be whatever. So, yeah, I could even see that happening. But we'll see. So that's my prediction, and we can move on.
All right. Let's talk about the Intercontinental Championship then. Ryback versus Kevin Owens. I also think that Kevin Owens is going to win this, and I think he's going to win the title. I think that this is going to be – I think we're going to have a total of 3 title changes tonight, and I think this is going to be – well, tomorrow night, and I think this is going to be the second of the 3.
Okay. I'm loving how your mind's working, man. Again, I'm not really feeling like overly contentious. And here's the thing. I'm going to agree with you on this one. I was torn, right? Because here's my thing, Ashton, going into the show. I knew that we were going to have one DQ finish on this show, right? But I knew it was going to be in the undercard. Because let me just say right now, I don't think either main event match, Seth Rollins' double booking is going to end in a DQ. Let me just be very straightforward about that. But I knew it was going to be one of the undercard matches, so I'm thinking it's going to be the tag titles or the IC title. Well, as you can see, I chose the tag titles, so I do think this is going to be very straightforward. Ryback, I don't know if it was because of the injury or who he interacted with or both. He didn't have the Intercontinental title reign that I was hoping he'd have. He hasn't been bad by any means. Like, I haven't been bored with him. He hasn't really gotten that momentum that I was really hoping he'd get for the Intercontinental title. And I think it would be so smart to put it on Kevin Owens because he is just consistently so good on the mic and such a great heel that, to me, if he was Intercontinental champion, anybody that chased him, I feel like the program's going to have that little bit of extra oomph because of how big a personality Kevin Owens is.
Yeah.
In fact, I had teased earlier, like, I want to see Neville move on. I want to see Neville be a challenger for the Intercontinental Championship contingent on Kevin Owens holding it. I'd love to see those guys get back to their business that they started on NXT, and they've kind of carried over on the main roster because they have competed against each other before. I'd love to see them resume it with Intercontinental Championship implications. I think Kevin Owens is going to be the grease, so to speak, that gets the wheel of interest in the Intercontinental Championship going, because right now it's really been all about the U.S. Championship, and I'd like to see an actual mid-card title get established and get some shine, and Kevin Owens will be the man to do it. So Kevin Owens for the win. As far as the build, I'll be honest, I really haven't cared for it. I kind of cringed in parts at the promo exchange they had on Monday, though Kevin Owens was always on point, and Ryback tried. Ryback did some things like, I'm just like, no, you're charismatic in a completely different way than you tried to be.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me uncomfortable. But, I mean, I would look forward to a return match at Hell in a Cell, give Ryback his rematch, have Kevin Owens win again, and then move on to hopefully Neville, or I don't know how I'd feel like if they wanted to pick Cesaro.
You know what I think that the build up to this feud really could have used?
What's that?
A brawl.
Yeah, man.
Like, Kevin Owens gets up in Ryback's face with that book, and he's talking about how Ryback is weak, and he's just tearing him down, and then he throws the book in his face. Right then and there, Ryback should have snapped and just beat the crap out of Owens. Like, that would have made this for me.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think that's an excellent idea.
Rather than, oh, hey, you missed a piece, Kevin.
Yeah. I see, and that's the thing. Like, I think about that. I think about, all the way back at WrestleMania 31, the build with Reigns and Brock Lesnar with the tug of war over the title. It's like, where is the intensity, man? Like, where is the animosity? Like, it's an intriguing idea to make a central point of critique the book that really helped Ryback out. But I mean, really be scathing with the criticism and then punctuate it with violence, either with Ryback as a retort or Kevin Owens just to really impose his will on the situation. And yet, when it's just a verbal exchange with one guy who's really good and Ryback who can be good, but within a certain vein of talking, it really doesn't come together well. So, but as far as the match goes, again, I'm rooting for Kevin Owens, and I do think Kevin Owens will win the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, I think it's Owens, and honestly, it's not even because I don't like Ryback. I know there are a lot of people that are annoyed with him and think that he sucks at talking. He is a charismatic guy, but it's when he's allowed to be himself. It's not, this whole character is just obnoxious.
Exactly.
I miss the bully.
Oh God, the bully was a turn on the water.
It's all I have.
Turn on the water. Proceeds to ruin stuff as Ryback laughs. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
All right, so let's move on. Man, we only have 3 championship matches left, and 2 of them are main event. So let's talk about Nikki Bella versus Charlotte. I'm going to come right out and say it. Just, rip the Band-Aid off. I think Nikki Bella's retaining.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was going to be on an island. I thought I was going to say, does it seem like everything's going a little bit too much in Charlotte's favor with the stipulations, and that Nikki Bella might win? And then you were going to be like, oh, John, you're overthinking it again, or whatever, and you come out and you say it first. Oh, that's such a relief. But yeah, it's funny, Ashton, because we've seen stuff like this before, because like when I think about a storyline like this where the champion's really backed into a corner and they don't have any advantage, oddly enough, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I promise it all kind of connects, it makes me think of Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle's feud leading up to WrestleMania 19.
Yep.
Because Kurt Angle, he would either use his brother Eric or he would use Paul Heyman, and then Stephanie would be like, well, at WrestleMania, you get disqualified, you get counted out, whatever, you will lose the championship. So pretty much the same situation Nikki's in. Now, Brock Lesnar won that match, so you'd think, okay, well, when the heels completely stripped of their advantages, that's when they really get exposed and the babyface triumphs, which to me does make all the sense in the world, but it's Nikki Bella though, and that's where I'm so hesitant. Because so many events this year I've said, oh, Nikki's going to drop the belt, and then she doesn't. And then the one time where it really seems like you can't make it any more obvious she's going to drop the belt, that's where I'm feeling hesitant. But I don't know, man. I'm still a little concerned about Paige. Because Paige, she got pinned by Naomi on SmackDown, and she was selling the frustration. I'm still thinking she's going to turn. I don't know how she's going to turn, but I do think Paige is turning heel soon. I do think we're going to see the dissolution of PCB. Will it come at the expense of Charlotte? I personally would like it. I don't hate Charlotte. I know you said you were starting to with the whole speaking thing, so you and I think feel a little bit differently about Charlotte, though probably not by much. But I don't want to see her be the Divas champion right away. I would welcome a program with her and Paige, and, I'm not going to lie, I'll be forthcoming too. I'd like to see Sasha Banks be the next contender, because how many matches do Team Bad have to win before they get recognized around here?
Right though?
So, you know what? I'm going to agree with you, dude. I don't know what the reaction in the comment section is going to be like, that we're crazy or whatever. But, guys, I'm going to say Nikki Bella retains via Paige heel turn, because that wasn't an advantage that I think anybody would see coming, considering it's Nikki Bella. So that's my prediction.
You know what, though, John? We're not going to just let it at that, because we seriously need to have a little bit of a discussion about this whole situation.
Yeah.
I have seen people, and this isn't just... this isn't just Facebook. This isn't just Pweetoff. It's everything. It's Reddit. It's Twitter. I mean, even YouTube comments are having this same mindset that they ruined the Divas Revolution because Charlotte didn't beat Nikki for the title before Nikki broke the record. That now all of a sudden, because Nikki has this record, that it's going to just completely ruin the Divas Revolution. And it's all pointless, and these women are all just going to get screwed.
Here's the thing. I half appreciate the sentiment, but also half of me thinks it's a bit of hyperbole, just a bit, because I feel like the anger is misplaced. I don't think your anger should be at some record that was completely illusory, because it is pro wrestling and these outcomes are predetermined. I think the anger should be, wow, you really think respecting women in 2015 is quantity of match length and not quality of storyline.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like the anger should be. Because look at what Sasha and Bayley are doing right now in NXT. I feel like they've had an amazing feud that really goes back 2 years, because they were having interactions even then, and now it's going to be capped off with this 30-minute Iron Man match, in NXT TakeOver Respect. And then you look at Raw, and it's all about just, knocking the Bellas down a peg, which is fine, but it just seems so one-dimensional and so lacking. Like, there's no depth to any of this. I'm not really invested. And even if they have longer matches, like, look, if I want to watch wrestling for wrestling's sake, I'll watch something like Ring of Honor or, PWG that I think really does it really well. Like, the wrestling there is so insane that I think it's, it offsets any negatives that comes with that kind of style, wrestling for wrestling's sake.
Well, and even given that, there are still underlying storylines in PWG. That's the beautiful thing about promotions like that. You don't need to talk in order for storylines to happen.
Right. Yeah.
One of the most prominent storylines of the last year and a half or so is the rise of Trevor Lee.
Yeah, man.
Like,
absolutely.
They have a random dude that kind of comes out of nowhere, this 21-year-old kid, and he's amazing, and he works his way up, and I think recently he had a PWG world title shot. Now, he lost it, but he still established himself as a top guy in PWG. And then he went on to win with Andrew Everett the PWG tag titles too. So you can establish people and you can have storylines without necessarily needing to talk, without necessarily needing to have massive video packages or anything like that. And granted, PWG doesn't have a lot of storylines, and the ones that they do have aren't especially well fleshed out, but the wrestling is what helps to tell the story there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, even you look at the show that you and I watched most recently, Mystery Vortex.
Yeah.
My favorite match on that card wasn't Zack Sabre Jr. versus Chris Hero, though that match was insane. People,
that was
check
it
out if you can. It was Speedball Mike Bailey versus Roderick Strong.
Yes!
I was so intrigued by it because here's Speedball Mike Bailey, who was always in the undercard, never really stood out, always seemed to be on the losing end of things.
He looks like, I feel like Excalibur even said this on commentary once, he looks like some kid who was attending a karate class. His mom just kind of forgot to pick him up, and he just walked across the street and joined the wrestling promotion.
Exactly. And here he comes out, answers Roderick Strong's call, takes him to the limit.
Yeah.
And like by the end of it, he's freaking made. I'm like, oh yeah. That's the beauty of it. When you go back to the women, they don't get that kind of depth. I mean, if you want to see, like in NXT, a storyline I feel like that would be like Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Now, Becky wasn't a slouch prior to this, but her championship...
It was her coming out party, and I even said that it would be going into it.
Yeah, exactly. The main roster's never really going to have a moment like that, at least not while we're doing this game of factional warfare. I feel like the chances increase a little bit when we get, maybe like a feud between Charlotte and Sasha or Sasha and Becky over the Divas Championship, but it's got to be more than just matches, though. You've got to give these women mic time. You've got to give them the ability to really develop something, to not be so one-dimensional. And if you're trying to ride on the coattails of, oh, well, Nikki Bella has this obnoxious reign, we got to stop her, that to me isn't enough to really compel me when I know the reign is illusory to begin with. And she's not even that great heel where I could even know that, but she's so unlikable. I want to see her lose it anyway, like say a JBL or somebody like that. It's because she waffles all the time. There's no consistency with her character.
I don't want to see Nikki Bella lose the championship because I want to pay money to watch her get beat up. I want to see Nikki Bella lose the title just because I don't want her to be champion anymore, because she's a bad champion.
Exactly. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
It's funny because there are so many instances of stuff like that in the WWE where they're getting the reaction that they want just for all the wrong reasons.
And that's why, like, I found people like Kevin Owens to be such a breath of fresh air. Or hell, keeping it with women, people like Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is so good, even with the respect she's earned by being so consistent in ring and getting people to sympathize with the babyface. I mean, just go back. And really, like, for anybody that even defends the Bellas, like, obviously everybody has a right to their opinion, but really go back and watch NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, some of you for the 30th time, others maybe just for the second time, and really see how Sasha degrades Bayley and talks down to her and the maneuvers she does to really garner that sympathy. That's how a heel works. Nikki Bella, to me, is the type where, yeah, she'll do some stuff. She'll do the push-ups and the jumping jacks and be like, oh, look how intimidating I am. Look how much better I am than you. But
You know what's funny, John?
Yeah.
Do you remember what my primary criticism of Eva Marie's first match in NXT was?
Well, I know one of your primary criticisms was that she's just not an athlete. And
right.
She'll never
that
pick
was
it up.
the secondary criticism, but the primary criticism was that it doesn't feel like she is a wrestler. It feels like she is an actor playing wrestler.
Right.
That's Nikki Bella, too.
Yeah.
Nikki Bella does not come off as a freaking wrestler. She comes off as a girl who is modeling and couldn't get the kind of gigs that she wanted, so she decided, well, there's this wrestling thing that's been calling me for the last week or two. Maybe I'll give that a shot. And now she's trying to convince everybody that she's passionate about it, and maybe she is. But at the end of the day, if you legitimately want to do good for the wrestling business, you need to be heelish. Not a heel, heelish. Meaning, don't just do cute little poses to get yourself over. Be a douchebag. And not the kind of douchebag that people don't want to hang out with. The kind of douchebag that people want to see get punched in the face.
And Ashton, that's another thing, too. I think that also, on a larger scale, is a problem with the wrestling business as a whole, primarily WWE. I read a great column on this recently where it just said, like, you're not doing your heels any favor. Let's stay on Nikki Bella for a moment, right? Now,
when they aired the video of her on Raw where she was doing the charity for the kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, the line has completely dissolved in this day and age.
Yeah.
Now,
and I think that that's cool that they want to kind of highlight that stuff. No, okay, maybe cool isn't the best word, but smart. It's smart business to highlight that they do that kind of stuff. But if you need to do it, and if you insist on doing it, do it with baby faces. Get frickin' Becky Lynch and Bayley and Paige and Charlotte in there. And I mean, even Natalya, since I guess WWE's never going to acknowledge that she's a heel on Total Divas, get her in there too. But the fact that you have these two women that are supposed to be heels, that win by cheating, that cut promos talking about how they're better than everybody else and then get in the ring and stink it up, they are heels, and yet you insist on trying to portray them in a good light. Why? Merch.
Well, and Ashton, that's exactly what the columnist said, particularly the point about just using baby faces. Like, I understand wanting to enhance a corporate image, right? I understand the business that WWE is. Why do you have to sacrifice the heel personas to do it, though? And I don't understand it. Yeah.
It's not I guarantee you, John, it is maybe 10% WWE's call, 90% the performers. The performers that do this, that are supposed to be heels but act like baby faces to try and get over, it's merch. They want the merch sales. I've been accusing the Bellas of this for a long time now. They do not give a crap if they are heels. They want to come off as the good guys so that all the little teeny boppers can buy their t-shirts.
And, like, that leaves me conflicted because I understand everybody's got to eat and everybody wants to get paid. And it's funny because you hear, like, CM Punk's whole sit-down interview with Colt Cabana. That was so insightful because he even talked about his resistance to go heel because his merch sales were hot.
Yeah.
Like, his shirts were going off the shelf.
And that's the thing. Like, to me, you shouldn't use merch sales as a way to say that an act is good for business if said act is a heel.
Right.
Like, merch sales, if somebody is selling a ton of merch as a heel, that could be a bad sign. That could mean that they need to turn face, and then maybe merch sales would be even better. And I'm not denying that that's a possibility, but what I am saying is that as long as the Bellas are heel, trying to say, oh, they move a lot of merch isn't a good thing, because heels aren't supposed to be popular. They're supposed to be hated. A heel's job in wrestling is to make everyone that they work with more popular, not for them to be popular.
So, you either got to find a way to supplement that income from merge sales for heels so that they can do their job effectively and not try and go into business for themselves, which again,
well, I mean, the easiest solution is just to frickin' cut ties with the Bellas and let them run out their contract with E, but I doubt that'll happen.
Right.
That being said, though, I do want to say this, and this is going to be the controversial thing. I don't understand why people have this big problem with Nikki Bella breaking a record that didn't matter in the first place.
Well, no, I'm right there with you. Yeah, my opening statement even was, I feel like that anger is misplaced.
Right. Well, and again, the idea that a woman holding a title longer than anyone else in the WWE makes her somehow iconic, to me, is completely misplaced. Because, I mean, first of all, the longest reigning women's champion of all time, and to me, that's another big thing. There are so many people saying that you need to throw the Divas Championship away and bring back the Women's Championship. The Women's Championship is so much more tainted than the Divas Championship. I don't think people even realize it, John.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this, because I saw your Puitoff post on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Who is the longest reigning women's champion of all time, John?
Fabulous Moolah.
And for those of you that don't know, for those of you that aren't on Puitoff, which, I mean, as much as we plug it, come on, just join it. But
yeah, right.
But if you're not on Puitoff, the Fabulous Moolah is a scumbag of a human being. And for those of you that are like, oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I'll feed you, baby birds. I will feed you. The Fabulous Moolah was a pimp. No, I'm not talking about she got a lot of action on the side. I'm talking about she was a literal pimp. She trained young girls to be wrestlers and then pimped said girls out to different territories in her day. She basically had an agreement with pretty much every promoter in the US where she would send a girl to their promotion. They would use her and have her on the show. And, oh, by the way, they would also get to have sex with her. And she took 50% of their pay. And sometimes they didn't even know about it, and they just got raped instead.
Yeah, really comforting, right, guys? Really
and
comforting.
The reason that the Fabulous Moolah is the longest reigning women's champion of all time, and she's not only the longest, but she's actually, if you list every reign of the women's championship from the longest, the highest number of days held, she has the top 5 longest reigns in women's championship history.
I mean, a complete monopoly on the championship.
And John, I'm glad that you used that term, because not only was it a figurative monopoly on the championship, it was a literal monopoly, not just on the championship, but on the women's wrestling scene in the entire United States. Why? Because she had all of the female talent. If you wanted a female wrestler on your show, you went to Moolah. If you didn't go to Moolah, you're not going to have female wrestlers on your show. So because she had that kind of power in the US, she had control over the booking of the women's championship. If somebody challenged her, or if she felt like someone was trying to encroach on her territory, she basically had them blackballed to the point that they would never get booked anywhere in the US, and they either had to leave the country or find a different job.
Yeah. What a reprehensible
thing. Yeah. Moolah was the scummiest of scum. So the fact that the kind of person that's currently representing the Divas Championship as far as the longest reign goes is just Nikki Bella, I'm okay with that. Don't bring back the Women's Championship, please.
Yeah. I mean, look, and that's the thing, guys. Again, like, I feel like people are either swept up by their nostalgia or, again, they're missing the point. Bringing back a title isn't going to change the inherent issues, with the company. I mean, look at when Cody Rhodes brought back the Classic Intercontinental Championship. I thought it was cool, and I thought it was a nice idea, but look at where we are now. Now, again, Ryback isn't a bad champion by any means, but that championship has no steam. That's why I'm really hoping Kevin Owens wins it.
And I think that Kevin Owens winning that championship is kind of, it almost feels like a long handoff. And when I say that, like in football, when you hand the ball off to a running back, you just kind of get the ball, give it to the running back, and then they run it. A longer handoff is just kind of a figurative term that they use for a short pass. When you get the ball, throw it immediately as soon as you get it, and the wide receiver on the outside, rather than up the middle, gets to run it then. This feels kind of like that. It feels like they wanted Daniel Bryan to be the Intercontinental Champion, and and that's another thing. Daniel Bryan might be the third man for all we know.
Yeah,
And if he is, I
yeah.
think that he will win. I do think that team will win if he is.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. We'll
But back
see.
to what I was saying, they wanted Daniel Bryan and John Cena being the mid-card champions to really bring prestige back to those titles. Daniel Bryan got hurt, and they ended up giving the title to Ryback, and I feel like Ryback more got the title as a rub because of the relationship he has with Bryan. But if you give that title to Kevin Owens, it will really feel more like a main event title because Owens, I mean, he says it every time he shows up, he beat John Cena.
Exactly. But, back to the whole Divas Championship situation, I don't think it's going to be Charlotte's time. I do think it's going to be a Paige heel turn. And are you sticking by Nikki Bella retaining as well?
Yes.
All right.
And just to kind of explain that, because I obviously went off on a massive rant, I think that if you look at AJ Lee's reign,
yeah,
when she became the longest reigning women's champion or Divas champion of all time, she didn't just kind of randomly lose the title a week after she broke the record. She held it for a little while longer.
Right.
And I think that they're gonna probably do that with Nikki Bella too. Honestly, this is kind of going out on a limb, and I will admit that. I've got no problem with admitting that, but I could see them doing a match between one of the NXT girls and Nikki for the title in a Hell in a Cell.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but last year there was a rumor that we were going to get a Bella versus Bella Hell in a Cell match, and they decided against it because, quite frankly, it would have been awful. But now they could do Nikki versus Charlotte or Sasha or Becky. Or, I mean, if they would have called Bayley up by then, I could see that even being amazing. And I think that it would make sense because it would be meant to contain the heels, whether it's Team Bella or Team Bella and Paige or however it ends up working out. I think that it's one of the rare cases where it would actually make sense that the babyface chasing after the heel would actually want the Hell in a Cell to keep people out.
Oh yeah, man. I think now with the talent pool you've got in the Divas division, like it'd be a great time to do that, especially with the right people involved. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen, but again, I mean, you already kind of know my prediction going forward. Nikki Bella continues on her reign. I do think Sasha will be the next contender, and Charlotte goes off into a feud with Paige. And I don't even know where Becky Lynch fits into that scheme, admittedly. But that's just
honestly,
kind of
I love Sasha, but the fact that Nikki Bella is a heel, I hope Becky ends up being the next contender.
And she might be. We'll see. Yeah.
To me, it's perfect. You have Charlotte and Paige brawl it out on the side. Becky sneaks in. She's gotten the least amount of feature between the three NXT girls. So she kind of sneaks in the back door and wins the championship from Nikki. Then you've got the option of Becky Sasha, Becky heel Paige. If they want to turn Charlotte heel, they could use her. Not to mention all of the current divas that you can use as heels because WWE doesn't seem to give a crap what alignment the main roster divas have. I think there are a lot of options. Or, I'm sorry, not heel. Yeah, because it's Becky. Yeah, turn him heel or something like that. You could even do Naomi versus Becky for all I care. Frankly, I prefer Naomi as a face, but if they want to keep her heel, fine. Send her against Becky and Becky will make her look great. So that's my opinion. I think, not necessarily what I think is going to happen, but what I prefer to happen is for Becky Lynch to win the championship over the next few months.
Oh, man, and the lettuce is going to rain, baby. It'd be quite a party with Becky Lynch.
She loves lettuce.
So good. But yeah, man, I love where your mind's going. I could certainly sign on to that. I'm glad, though, that we're kind of seeing eye to eye on the whole Paige thing, because I think a program between This Is My House and Genetically Superior could be very interesting. They both have their own egos, and, I think they have quite a bit to work with. But anyway, I think it's time, my friend, that we talk about the double main events here. So, the two really big matches. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the one that is for the less prestigious championship. Even though the rumor is that it's going to actually end up going on last, I still think that we need to talk about it first. Cena versus Rollins for the U.S. title. And this is the third championship that I see changing hands tonight. I think Cena's winning the U.S. title back.
If you would permit me to go on a little bit of my own rant, I'll try and keep it brief, but you know that I've really been looking forward to giving my thoughts on Seth Rollins, so
dude,
I would like to do that
No,
now.
I'm not going to hold you back, just go.
Here's the thing. I think, I mean, A, let's all acknowledge the ratings are really struggling on Raw.
Oh yeah.
Uh, B, here's the thing though, outside of the kayfabe context, which I don't normally bring that in, with matches like this, but yeah, the ratings are struggling. I think we're looking for a ratings pop. B, the U.S. Open challenges, they need to come back. And
Yep.
I feel like Rollins getting this championship was only so he could be in the history books and get that heel fodder, like, oh, look at me, I'm so much better than everybody. But here's the third thing, and I'm gonna kind of spoil here my thoughts on the next match, not completely, but I'm gonna put it out there. I see Rollins losing both titles tomorrow night because I'm really starting to think. Now, here's the thing. It's crazy because if you had asked me only 2 months ago, where do you see him with just the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, I would have said, oh, he's dropping it at WrestleMania 32. I don't really know if I believe that anymore because I think he may be getting ready for a babyface run. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if WrestleMania 32 was Seth Rollins versus Triple H, if I'm really being honest. He's been having this back and forth with Sheamus. The crowd is clearly behind him. They had a little bit of an antagonism on SmackDown where Rollins left Sheamus high and dry. So I feel like Rollins is going to lose both championships, and that's going to make him lose favor with the Authority. And then they're going to be like, oh, well, see, you're not as good as Triple H or this and that. And then that antagonism's going to rise. So, yeah, it does start with him losing the United States Championship to John Cena. I think they're going to have a great match. Rollins will come up short, though. Cena will get to resume his U.S. Open challenges, and Rollins' night will go from bad to worse, but I'll say more about that when we get to that match. So, yeah, Cena to win. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I love that. And I think Cena can probably hold the title. Dude, I'm thinking like Extreme Rules.
Oh, my God, dude, yeah. He'll have a vice grip on that thing when he gets it back,
Yeah.
guaranteed. Cena's still been having a phenomenal year, and this is coming from a guy that you guys know. When I have a gripe with John Cena, I have no qualms about airing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when the guy's doing good, I have no qualms about giving him his due. Yeah, I just feel like he's been having one of the best years of his career, if not the best, and the United States Championship is highly attributable to that. So Cena to get the win, and we can start having a good time on Monday nights with these open challenges once again. So.
Yeah. So Cena wins, Owens wins, and the Dudleys win, in my opinion. But for you, it's just Cena and Owens, right?
Yeah, well, Cena, Owens, and well, we still got the main event to talk about, and I'll get to that in a second. So,
Right.
you ready to talk
So
about?
just to kind of clear things up, though, I think that Kevin Owens winning the Intercontinental title is freaking brilliant
Right.
because Sami Zayn versus him at WrestleMania would be amazing.
Oh my God, yes. Don't even tease my dreams that way. Me,
Seriously,
you, and everyone else.
No, but seriously, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania is a must happen.
How dare you try and have a life outside of me, Kevin? I told you we were doing this forever. So there
It's
you
coming
go.
back in December, and they're gonna resume.
Yeah, man, I'm down for it. Let's do it. Oh, that'd be great.
All right. So let's talk about Sting, John.
Yes, let's talk about Sting. To kind of round out my thoughts that I laid the groundwork for in the preceding bout, Rollins is going to be so sour to the Authority because A, they really haven't helped him out as much as they could in this whole thing, and B, I would go as far as to say they made it worse because let's not forget that Stephanie gave John Cena his United States Championship match, so Seth Rollins' focus had to be diverted from Sting onto John Cena and Sting combined. So the Authority's really been a thorn in Seth Rollins' ass. And Sting, here's my thing too with the Sting matchup. I don't know if you saw this, Ashton, because honestly I didn't either, but apparently it was out there. Sting did a promotional video for people that haven't subscribed to the network, and he said, I'm sorry, I understand, like, if you haven't subscribed, whatever, but let's make history together at Night of Champions. I can't do this without you. Let's make history together this Sunday when I finally become WWE World Champion. Now, when you do that kind of a pitch, I don't think you're going to dick your new subscribers over that maybe are longtime Sting fans and really want to see him win the one title that eluded him. But here's the thing, though. He's not going to keep it. I am formally saying right now that I think Sheamus is going to cash in at Night of Champions on Sting. Sting may get a return match at Hell in a Cell, but then go into November, December, you're going to see a program between Sheamus and Rollins. That's my feeling on the whole thing. But I'm really curious to know what you think about it.
I think Rollins is retaining.
You think Rollins is retaining, but what about a Sheamus cash-in, yes or no on that?
No, I don't think Sheamus is cashing in until after WrestleMania.
Okay.
Or I would say at WrestleMania at the very earliest, but I don't even think that that's going to happen.
Interesting. So you and I have two wildly different predictions because I have Rollins losing both belts for one, but then Sheamus, or not Sheamus, Sting winning the championship, but then Sheamus ultimately winning it with a cash in. And you just think Rollins is straight up retaining the world title, but losing the U.S. title.
Yeah. Because to me,
There.
like, I try and almost, like, put it together, like, just looking at the reigns. And Rollins as the U.S. champ just doesn't work to me.
No.
Whereas Cena with the U.S. title was amazing earlier this year. So it makes sense to put that title back on him. But then just the idea that I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't think Sting is ever going to win the WWE title.
Right.
Never. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that they're doing this exclusively to pop network buys, and that's it.
And see, like, I guess I kind of share that sentiment with you, but in a different way. Because again, I do think they'll put the belt on him for that network pop, but then they'll quickly take it away from people. And here's the thing too, I'm thinking,
What does that achieve, though?
well, see, and
People
I was
won't
getting
buy the network because they gave Sting the title for 5 minutes. They'll buy the network if he gets a run, but not if he just wins it and then loses it right away to Sheamus.
But I think the whole subscription pop again is like Sting making these promises, and then yeah, I don't know if we would see a drop off if Sheamus cashed in. But here's the thing too: I think if you want to look more at just the landscape and not so much like the business model and everything, I'm thinking they would want to give Sheamus this heel fodder. I mean, imagine the heat knowing that he just screwed a legend out of the one title he wanted to pursue. He got to taste it for a second and then ripped away from him. I already feel like Sheamus generates a good amount of heat from his look alone, but they probably want more legitimate heat to accompany that if he is going to be champion. And so, yeah, I could see him totally raining on Sting's parade. But then again, after the fact, going into that program with Rollins because they've been having their antagonisms anyway. So, yeah, I see a really rough night for Seth Rollins for sure. Completely opposite of Jay Lethal. Because Jay Lethal, I had him retaining both belts. Rollins is the complete opposite. I don't think he's walking out with anything except a lot of anger and bitterness towards the Authority at Night of Champions.
Well, and I do think that his face turn, it feels inevitable, but I don't think that the WWE is going to rush it.
Right.
I think that they're going to drag it out just a little bit longer, have the Authority put him in some really, really shitty situations, and eventually, he's the architect, right? He's got to realize what they're doing to him, right?
You would think, but then again, this is the same guy that was completely aloof when Randy Orton said he was going to beat the crap out of him to his face.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
you don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But I do have Rollins retaining. That being said, I just can't get behind Sting in WWE. I don't know what it is. I'm not into it.
Dude, I'm not into it either, but I don't even think it's Sting's fault. Like, how can you be into it when A, he loses at WrestleMania, and B, and I've been saying this to everybody, and I think I've already said this to you, they're treating him like he's another one of the boys. It's Sting! Like, man, if you were really going to treat him this way, why sign him other than the bragging rights of saying, we finally got him? Because to me, they're just dicking the poor guy around simply because he was a WCW mainstay and really a cornerstone at that. And, they're just lashing out at him through this character and the booking, which, god damn it, why? Like, why can't you see the forest, for the trees and see that you have Sting under contract? And, he looks good. It's not like he looks horrible or anything. Fans still pop for him, but I think, come on, you put him on a Monday Night Raw for one, which I already told you, if we were still doing Raw Twit Wows, that would have been a heat of the night for me, because I don't think you use Sting that way. And then Big Show's your opponent.
Yeah.
In one way, I understand it, because fine, the familiarity of WCW, fine. But look at Big Show's stock.
Chris Jericho's still on the roster.
Chris Jericho's still on the roster. That would have been an even bigger pop for people, and it would have been more intriguing. You put Sting with the same man that is getting please retire chants.
Yep.
Are you really helping him? Like, how freaking stupid. Now, look.
Well, John, I'm glad that you brought that up, because now I'm going to do a little quick plug and let everybody know that John and I are planning on doing our first topical video on Tuesday regarding the state of the WWE and their ability or lack thereof to make new stars.
Yes, and I can't wait to do that. Should be one hell of a discussion. But just rounding out this discussion, because you said you weren't into Sting, Ashton, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody legitimately into Sting, but you watch. I'm sure one of our faithful listeners will give a good argument why, and I really look forward to reading it. I really do, because I don't understand how you could screw something like
I
this
am
up.
fully expecting a 3-paragraph reply from Ecstasy 69.
Yes, I'm expecting it to. Like, tell us if I mean sincerely, if you find Sting interesting, I'd love to hear it sincerely, because even TNA, for as bad as that was, there was only one time I felt like they really horrendously mismanaged Sting, and that was the
Joker.
whole Joker crap. Yeah. But WWE, you couldn't even get it right like the first time, and at least TNA did, because that was still at a point when they were good.
We're
But
gonna have to
WWE,
do another. We're gonna have to do another topical video on the WWE's writers' disconnect with their fans.
oh my God, yes.
Because for the longest time, I was convinced that they just kind of weren't trying, that they were just kind of slacking off and, oh yeah, sure, just throw Big Show out there. But now I kind of feel like I see it a little bit more clearly, and they are trying. They're just really bad at what they do.
Dude, I mean, going back to WrestleMania, like, and even our live reactions, did we enjoy the match? Yeah, but it was kind of in that laughing, oh my God, look how over the top this is. I
Dude,
almost,
the one quote that I will never forget from that WrestleMania match, you said, "This is ass retarded."
yeah,
I
yeah,
will never forget that because that's the first time I've ever heard you use that phrase before.
and it was.
And it
And
was.
it still is.
It
Because, like,
was.
when you have the NWO and D-Generation X, all of these old people that are like, oh my God, the door to the home's been opened, quick, let's make a break for it. And they find their way at WrestleMania. It's like Sting competing in his first WrestleMania became a moot point in that moment. And it's just this big brawl that nobody cared for anyway. Not to mention, you know, for any WCW diehard, they've always taken issue with, like, the lack of continuity. Like, it's NWO helping Sting. Makes no sense whatsoever. It's like they've completely mishandled Sting from the jump. And I should care about this match. I should. But I actually care about it more from the sense that Seth Rollins, I think, is going to be turning babyface soon. And I'm more excited about that than anything Sting's got going on. Like, oh my God, how could you screw that up? I'm still angry about it, but I'm going to stop the rant here. Otherwise, we're going to go for another hour. But yeah, needless to say, too long, didn't listen. I agree with you, man. Sting has no interest for me either.
There you go.
I'm
Are you okay?
I'm good, man. It's really sad, man. When you know you got great intellectual property, great characters, and guys like Sting, and you piss it all away. And I really feel like that's what they've done. Because at least if he beat Triple H and he was still screwing with the Authority, like I'd be more excited about this because I'd be like, oh, now he really wants to hit him where it hurts. He wants the title because this whole idea, he who has the title has the power. But you lost to Triple H, who then came out in a later segment dressed up and bragged about it, even though at the end of that bout he shook your hand. Like, nothing makes sense. Nothing makes narrative sense, and it ticks me off. So, there you go.
That being said, hashtag Netflix needs Lucha.
Yes! Hashtag Netflix needs Lucha because I need good quality stories, people. For my health, I need it. So get on it. But,
Remember when I was younger, when my nan, which is just the name that I've called my grandma my whole life, used to always watch her, and I think she still might watch soap operas pretty much every day, but not prime time or anything, just like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just like midday soap operas, like Guiding Light and As the World Turns and that kind of stuff.
right.
And her mom, my great grandma, no longer with us, but she always called them her stories. It was always, I've got to watch my stories. And that's how I feel with Lucha Underground. Like, I mean, the wrestling's great and all, but I just want to continue on this story, is what it really comes down to.
I need Johnny Mundo, people. I'm going through withdrawal over here. Like, I'm telling you, I'm dealing with all of these egg-suckers, save for Adam Cole, who had an amazing night last night, despite Roderick Strong eating the pin. Way to screw it up, Roddy. But, you know,
And then
Seth,
Adam Cole coming out and ruining Kyle O'Reilly's life.
that was amazing.
Did you see O'Reilly's post-match promo?
I didn't, dude. I've been looking everywhere for something from O'Reilly, but I didn't know he did one.
Oh, it was so good. I'll send you a link when we're done.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that bad. But yeah, save for Adam Cole, Seth Rollins, because, you know, I try my best to associate with winners, hence why this is the best podcast on the web, because I'm associating with this magnificent face over here. I mean, everybody else just kind of sucks, including you, Sting. Get it together, man. Actually,
Get
no,
it together, Stinger.
It's not even Sting. People writing Sting. You have a gem. It should write itself. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my god.
We just don't have anything for him.
Oh my god. See, this is almost why I don't want Brock Vaughn to be a reality. I know I'll slap myself for it later, but really, I don't know, man. At least we get to go Adam Cole, baby, and know they have something for him, including the Kingdom Living. But,
Yeah,
yeah,
he gets a decent amount of creative freedom in ROH.
and as he should. As he should. And by the way, to everybody that had pro Adam Cole comments in the comments section of that video, or just Adam Cole comments in general, you are amazing, because that'll probably never happen again. So thank you for that. That was great.
Yeah, it's so weird because 9 times out of 10 when we post ROH live reactions, we get I don't know, 60% thumbs down
Yeah.
and pretty much no comments.
Yeah.
And this time we got 7 or 8 comments all talking about how amazing Adam Cole is.
Yeah, which first of all is the only appropriate comment to make, and second of all, I mean, I really enjoyed that live reactions we were talking about it today, and Ashton's bits about Stokely, Carmichael, and Adam Cole.
Stokely Hathaway?
Stokely Hathaway. Carmichael's the middle name, isn't it? Where did Carmichael? Carrington, but then wasn't it based off of a Carmichael? You said. I know Carmichael came from somewhere.
Based off Calvin Snodgrass.
But where did Carmichael come from? Why did I think of that?
Carmichael wasn't even said last night.
Oh my god, they're all wealthy. It doesn't matter. But, everything was so on point.
I don't know where you're coming up with this Carmichael character. I don't think I ever want to meet them either.
Dude, I know Carmichael was a name that was said probably last night when you were making connections.
Wasn't.
I know it was, damn it, but not.
But it wasn't.
Oh, you know what? Whatever. But anyway, the point is, I really enjoyed that live reactions. I'm hoping tomorrow night's live reactions will be just as good, if not in the sense that we're pointing out how laughably bad everything is. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm really glad we got to go over this card, and I've got nothing else to say about it unless you do. So.
No, I don't have anything else left to say that we either haven't already said or that we won't be saying on our topical video on Tuesday.
There you go.
So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're looking more forward to this show than I am. And whether you're looking forward to the show itself or not, live reactions are going to be gold. Because
absolutely,
whether this show's amazing and we lose our minds reacting to greatness, or the show's awful and we just laugh our asses off all night, it's still going to be quality entertainment, people.
You know it. So
we'll talk to you all tomorrow night for our Night of Champions live reactions. Until then, if you just can't get enough of our live reaction-y goodness, go ahead and watch our ROH All-Star Extravaganza 7 live reactions from last night, and we will see you for tomorrow.